Hi, welcome to the third flashback. This is the first part of introducing the best slice-of-life movies. Step out of your room and see a man in your living room never seen before. The pictures on your walls are all out of place, and you can't find your belongings in the kitchen where they usually are. You can't even find your everyday personal items, like your wristwatch, for example. It's been a few days, and the strangest thing is that the same man who occasionally appears in your home without notice has a watch that looks exactly like yours. There's a chance this man has stolen your watch. All these events happen to Anthony, the main character of the film, a man whose daughter is taking care of him as he slowly succumbs to Alzheimer's disease. The film, directed by Florian Zeller, stars Anthony Hopkins and Olivia Colman. Ludovico Einaudi worked on the film's score, and it has a runtime of 1 hour and 40 minutes. It can be said that the genre is family drama, and I highly recommend watching this film with family. Not only does it make sense, but it's truly worth seeing, especially if you know someone in your circle of friends or family suffering from Alzheimer's disease. I believe the quality of this film is excellent, appealing both to general audiences and to those who are particularly curious about Alzheimer's disease. Marriage Story is about the separation and divorce of Charlie and Nicole, a young couple with a child. Before they decided to finalize their separation, they never imagined how many unresolved issues they had between them. This film revisits memories, arguments, and showcases the deep connection between two people who have decided to cut ties and part ways. Directed by Noah Baumbach, the film features Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson in the lead roles, with Laura Dern and Ray Liotta in supporting roles. It has a runtime of 2 hours and 15 minutes, and falls under the category of family drama. Although family drama isn't an official cinematic genre, it is a subgenre of drama, and the target audience for this film is definitely families. In my opinion, it's an excellent film that appeals to a broad audience, particularly those who may be dealing with concerns about separation and divorce. A man leaves his home after a lifetime of marriage. After a few days, the police announce that this man has apparently drowned in a river, prompting the family to gather once again after many years. However, this reunion does not prevent old problems among the family members from resurfacing. Even the presence of new members, such as a fiancé or son-in-law, doesn't stop the sisters from engaging in verbal disputes with each other or with their mother. The family becomes embroiled in such intense verbal conflicts and arguments that not only do the new family members feel uncomfortable, but we as viewers are also unsettled by the film directed by John Wells, featuring Meryl Streep, Julia Roberts, Ewan McGregor, Chris Cooper, and Benedict Cumberbatch. Sam Shepard also stars in the film, and Gustavo Santaolalla worked on the music. The film has an approximate runtime of 2 hours and can be categorized as a black comedy. Although it lacks scenes of romance or intimacy, the harsh dialogues exchanged among family members and the boundaries that aren't crossed make it a film where you should decide for yourself whether it's suitable for viewing in a family setting. In my opinion, it's a really good film, and its audience could include not only mainstream viewers, but also a more specific audience that finds family disputes interesting, similar to the previous film. Frances Ha tells the story of Frances Halliday, a 27-year-old woman who is a dance design student and feels a bit behind in life compared to her peers and friends. For example, she knows she's studying a field she's very passionate about, but she's also certain that it won't bring her much financial gain. Either she doesn't have a boyfriend and is alone, but doesn't make an effort to find one, or she knows that some of her morals and behaviors upset others, yet she has no problem with her overall character and self. The film is directed by Noah Baumbach, the same director of Marriage Story, and features Greta Gerwig. As a side note, Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach got married in 2023 after several years together. The film has a runtime of 1 hour and 25 minutes, and its genre is family comedy. I think it's suitable for family viewing. In my opinion, the film is aimed at discerning audiences who enjoy watching low-budget, independent, black-and-white American films. Eternity and a Day. The story of life unfolds over the course of one of the last days of an elderly man's life, which seems to extend through his memories until the end of this day. The man has recently learned that he is suffering from an incurable disease and is scheduled to go to the hospital tomorrow for further treatments and possibly surgery, likely never to return. For this reason, he begins to wander around the city, visiting old places that allow him to reminisce about his memories with his late wife. Amidst this warm recollection of the past, there is also a subplot involving an illegal immigrant child, whom the man tries to help return to his home country. I should mention one thing in parentheses. If, after 10 or 15 minutes of watching this film, you find it boring or unenjoyable, that's perfectly fine. You're probably not the audience for this art movie and slow cinema, which plays with time easily and without any special visual effects. If you don't catch the poetic nuances of the film and can't connect with the world of the main character, feel free to set it aside. It's just not your film, and that's completely okay. The film runs for approximately 2 hours and 15 minutes, and is a family-oriented art movie. It's important to note that there's no official genre under this title. It's a term that is quite common and popular. Additionally, it falls under the category of slow cinema, making it suitable for family audiences, as there are absolutely no scenes of intimacy or vulgar language. It is definitely an excellent film. Scenes from a Marriage is not just a single scene or cut, but rather a collection of cuts from the decade-long life of Marianne, a divorce lawyer, and Johann, a psychology professor. At the beginning of the film, they are portrayed as a happy, ideal couple in love. However, as time passes, they experience turmoil and eventually separate. Years later, after both have remarried and a significant amount of time has passed, they encounter each other again. They talk and share their unresolved emotions from their previous relationship. I want to take this opportunity to discuss a theme that I believe is common in Bergman's cinema, which this film exemplifies. If we consider the cultural differences and varying social relations, we should set aside and ignore, for instance, differences in customs, dress, or social etiquette. If we can set aside this cultural barrier, we can access the universality of the relationships in Bergman's cinema, which can greatly inform our own relationships, whether we are currently involved in one or facing a critical situation. As the saying goes, a wise person learns from the mistakes of others and does not need to experience them firsthand. We can avoid entering critical situations in our relationships, and if we find ourselves close to such moments with a spouse, parent, sibling, or partner, we can navigate them without turning them into a disaster due to ignorance. The director is the great Ingmar Bergman, and the film stars Liv Ullmann, Erland Josephson, and Bibi Andersson. The television version of Scenes from a Marriage, which was made for TV, is 4 hours and 40 minutes long, while the cinematic version, which is more commonly available, runs for 2 hours and 50 minutes. Psychological drama is the appropriate genre for this film, and I believe its audience is primarily couples. I strongly recommend this film to young couples and for family viewing. It can be incredibly insightful, but the film is definitely unique and excellent, provided you are the right audience for this type of cinema. George is a history professor at a small college in New England, and Martha is the daughter of the university's president. They are a middle-aged couple who return home one night after a party. Martha has invited a young couple she met at the party to their home. As the four of them gather and continue their late-night revelry, a very intense verbal conflict erupts between George and Martha. The harsh words and brutal exchanges between this middle-aged couple make the young couple feel extremely uncomfortable, shocked by the things they never imagined a married couple could say to each other. The film reveals a marital crisis within a very limited time frame, a crisis that seems to have always existed, like a fire smoldering beneath the ashes in the lives of these two individuals. The film is directed by Mike Nichols and stars Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton, who play a married couple. The runtime is approximately 2 hours and 10 minutes, and the film is an adaptation of the play of the same title by Edward Albee. The performance is highly theatrical, with a structure driven by dialogue and a limited location, giving it a very play-like feel. I don't think it's suitable for viewing in a family setting. I consider the film excellent, and it appeals to both general viewers and those who appreciate more theatrical films. Additionally, specific audiences who seek out black and white, classic and theatrical films, will also enjoy this. Hunger tells the story of a few days in the life of a young writer who can neither afford the rent for his home nor provide himself with a warm meal. He hopes to receive payment from a publisher for an article he has written, which would allow him to meet his basic living needs. However, every day, the payment is postponed under the pretext of needing more revisions, and it is pushed to the next day. He is eventually thrown out of his home due to his inability to pay rent. In another scene, in a very touching moment, he donates the little money he manages to earn from selling his belongings to a beggar, even though he is extremely hungry and desperately needs that money. The film depicts several days in the life of a sensitive and insightful person, showing how someone with natural emotions experiences pride, camaraderie, and a burning desire to attract love, find love, and feel loved. The region has fallen into poverty and misery, and the film portrays this through the young writer's struggles. The film features actors like Pyrrhus Callachon and Gunell Lindblom. It has a runtime of 1 hour and 50 minutes, and the genres of social realism and cinematic surrealism can be considered its stylistic foundation. You can easily watch the film in a family setting, and the quality is undoubtedly excellent. It is aimed at a specific audience of cinema lovers, particularly those seeking overlooked or lesser-known films in cinema history, especially from the European cinema tradition. It's definitely for discerning viewers looking for unique and well-crafted films. We follow Alain, the protagonist, for almost a day as he grapples with his life after separating from his wife and being hospitalized in a private clinic due to his alcohol addiction. However, Alain's main struggle isn't his alcohol addiction or his separation from his wife, but rather his search for the meaning of life. He is tormented by existential questions. It seems Alain has reached a point in his life where the glory of his youth and the vibrant experiences with his diverse friends are behind him. In a meeting with one of his old, close friends, this friend tries to convince him that the days of splendor and excitement in his life are over, and he must accept that many of the people around him, including himself, are now absorbed in the routines of life, dealing with spouses, work, and superficial, mundane concerns. Life is what it is, and whether he likes it or not, he must come to terms with it. The stage he's passed is not going to return or be repeated, but Alain can't easily accept this reality. The film The Fire Within, directed by Louis Malle and featuring Maurice Ronet, and it has a runtime of 1 hour and 50 minutes. It can be classified as a psychological drama, but the issues it addresses are relatable to families as well. I believe this film is a masterpiece and truly excellent, though it doesn't necessarily suit a family viewing setting. In my opinion, this is the kind of film best watched alone, in solitude. It's one of those films that you might hesitate to recommend for fear that someone might not enjoy or fully grasp its depth. Wild Strawberries revolves around Isak Borg, a grumpy old man who, accompanied by his daughter-in-law, who, by the way, doesn't get along well with him, embarks on a road trip to receive an honorary doctorate in London. During the journey, for various reasons, including traveling with a group of young people who remind him of his youth, our elderly protagonist revisits his entire life throughout the film. He begins to feel that his life is nearing its end, and death is not far off. The atmosphere of the film, and especially its narrative style, is somewhat similar to Eternity and a Day, which was discussed in a previous film review. However, this film is another work by Ingmar Bergman, featuring the great Victor Sjöström, Bibi Andersson, Gunnar Björnstrand, and Ingrid Thulin also star in this film, which runs for 90 minutes. This psychological drama fits within the family of films related to family environments, and I have no objection to watching it with others. Regarding Wild Strawberries, I prefer not to give it a personal rating, even though it's not one of my favorite films, and I don't consider it one of the best in Ingmar Bergman's career. However, since it is one of the most important and recognized films in the history of classic cinema, I believe any opinion I express may be controversial. Therefore, I leave the evaluation of this film to you and your own preferences and tastes. In this section, Jumping Popcorn, I'll introduce some movies that you won't miss much if you haven't seen them. The first one is Paterson, directed by Jim Jarmusch. In my opinion, if you haven't seen this film, you haven't missed anything extraordinary. Kramer vs. Kramer, directed by Robert Benton, stars Dustin Hoffman and Meryl Streep. The story revolves around a father who, after separating from his wife, played by Meryl Streep, struggles to gain custody of his child and find a new job. You can watch the film, but honestly, if you haven't seen it, you're not missing much. A Streetcar Named Desire from 1951 is so well known that I think it deserves a mention, even though I didn't include it in the main film section. It's an incredibly classic and widely recognized film, and if you haven't seen it, you should definitely check it out. It's worth watching at least once. Marlon Brando stars in this film, with Vivian Leigh opposite him, and it was directed by Elia Kazan. Dear friends, this was the first part of my introduction to the best slice-of-life films. There will be another section with films of similar styles and themes introduced later. The names and release years of the films mentioned in this segment are included in the description. Please let us know what your favorite film from this list is, and if you know any other important films in this genre. Stay happy, healthy, and well, and we hope to see you again in the next flashback. Goodbye.
Comme au bon vieux temps. Good old time.